This was not just a rivalry, but an all-out war on wheels. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton didn't just fight to win, they clashed for legacy. Every corner, every lap, every race was loaded with tension. One is the calm and calculated legend. The other is a fearless young lion with something to prove. Crashes, controversy, and championship drama. It had it all. But what made this rivalry so brutal was how personal it felt. This is the untold story of the most intense F1 battle the sport has ever seen. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton weren't always rivals. For years, Lewis stood alone at the top. From 2014 to 2020, he won almost everything, except in 2016, when Nico Rosberg, his teammate, managed to beat him. During that time, Max was still growing, learning, and waiting for Red Bull to build a car that could finally compete. People didn't expect much tension between them, mainly because of the age gap, Lewis being 13 years older. But then came 2021. 2021 wasn't just another F1 season, it was war. Red Bull finally caught up. They had the pace. Mercedes wasn't untouchable anymore. That meant we got something rare in F1, a proper season-long duel. This wasn't just two guys trading polite overtakes. This got personal, fast. From the very first race, it was clear they wouldn't give each other an inch. Bahrain went to Lewis. Then Max hit back in Italy. They traded wins like boxers trading punches. But the defining feature of this rivalry wasn't the wins. It was the crashes. These weren't light bumps or racing incidents. They were full-on collisions that shaped the entire season. Silverstone was the first big moment. Lewis went for a move on the inside, and Max didn't back down, and the two touched. Max's Red Bull slammed into the barriers at full speed. The impact was huge. Red Bull blamed Lewis. Fans were outraged. The FIA handed Lewis a time penalty, but he still won the race. That didn't sit well with Max or his team. And if anyone thought that was the end, they were wrong. Fast forward to Monza, and Max got tangled with Lewis again. This time, he ended up literally on top of Lewis's car. The crash took both out of the race, but the image of Max's car sitting on top of the Mercedes was burned into everyone's minds. Max got the penalty, but neither was about to slow down. As the season neared its end, the pressure only got worse. Saudi Arabia was in complete chaos. Max pushed Lewis off track. Then he was told to let Lewis by, but the moment he slowed down, Lewis wasn't expecting it. He slammed into the back of Max. Confusion, frustration, and another penalty followed for Max. The tension between them was out in the open. Even their radio messages sounded personal.
It got crazy, man.
At that point, it wasn't just about the championship. It was about proving who was tougher. Then came the final race in Abu Dhabi. Both drivers went into it tied on points. That's almost unheard of. Whoever finished ahead would win the title. The race was intense, but everything changed with just a few laps left. A crash brought out the safety car. Lewis was leading comfortably, Max behind but on fresher tires. Then came the controversial moment. Race control decided to move only certain lapped cars out of the way. Suddenly, Max was right behind Lewis. He overtook him easily and won the race and the championship. That moment was the boiling point. Lewis didn't even speak after the race. Mercedes protested, but it didn't change the result. After that final race in Abu Dhabi, everything changed for Lewis and the entire sport. People couldn't stop talking about how the title was decided. Fans argued for months. Some said it was robbed. Others said it was racing. But no matter what side you were on, one thing was clear. The Max versus Lewis rivalry had gone way beyond racing. That loss hit Lewis hard. He disappeared from the public eye for weeks. He didn't post. He didn't talk. And when he came back for the 2022 season, it felt like he was trying to move on. But the fire was different. Meanwhile, Red Bull had built an even stronger car. Mercedes, on the other hand, got it completely wrong. Their car didn't work the way they expected. It bounced, it lacked speed, and it caused real pain. Lewis struggled with back problems from the rough ride. Suddenly, he was no longer fighting for wins. He was fighting to stay in the top 5. And just like that, the rivalry faded. Not because it was over, but because it wasn't even a fight anymore. Max was winning everything. Lewis couldn't catch up. In 2022, Max dominated the season. Lewis, for the first time in his career, didn't win a single race. The guy who once seemed unbeatable was now stuck with a car that couldn't deliver. But things started to shift a bit in late 2022. At the Brazil Grand Prix, the Mercedes car finally looked quick. It was the only real chance Lewis had to win that year. He was desperate to keep his streak alive, which saw him win at least one race every year since his debut. But when it seemed like he might do it, Max and Lewis crashed again. Max tried a bold move and clipped Lewis. Both were damaged. Max had to pit. Lewis continued and made it to second, but that win was gone. After that, things cooled off again. Red Bull kept winning. Mercedes was back to struggling. And while the fire between the two drivers wasn't gone, no fuel was left to burn until recently. In 2023, Red Bull kept their speed, but Mercedes started finding their way back. Slowly, race by race, they improved. They weren't winning yet, but they were back on the podium. And that's all Max needed to start hoping for another real fight. The funny thing is that Max said he missed the competition. He wants Mercedes to be fast again. He wants Lewis back at the top. Because deep down, even with all the crashes, all the anger, and all the chaos, they both know that a rivalry means nothing without the other guy pushing you. Max might dominate now, but doesn't want to be alone at the front. Racing is more exciting when someone is challenging you. And for Max, that someone has always been Lewis. No one else brings that same level of skill and fight. Even though things got rough in 2021, even dangerous, they both made each other better. Max had to fight harder to win. Lewis had to dig deeper to defend. That kind of push doesn't come from just any driver. Off the track, things have stayed tense. Max's dad, Jos Verstappen, said he respects Lewis as a driver, but nothing more than that. And then there's the issue of fans. The online war between their supporters has gotten intense over the years. It's not just about racing anymore. People pick sides like it's a football match. Some even bring personal attacks into it. That shows how deep this rivalry runs. You can still feel the tension even when they're not crashing into each other. They don't need to speak directly to show how they feel. A small comment in a press conference or a reaction after a race says everything, like when Max brushed off the Brazil crash in 2022, or when Lewis said after Saudi Arabia that Max drives crazy. These little moments build the story. The fire isn't burning like it was in 2021, but it's not gone either. Mercedes is improving. Slowly but surely, they're getting closer. And if they can find more speed, we might see these two go wheel to wheel again. Max asked for competition. He might get it. And when that day comes, the most brutal rivalry in Formula One could explode again.